What's up, everybody? We are back. And on this week's episode, we are going to talk about how our move went from one town to another. But more importantly, I'm going to share with you the struggle that I had in between. If you've ever been in a place where you've struggled with your prayer posture, if you've ever been in a place where you've doubted God, we're going to talk about that. This is going to be a really short snippet that we'll dive into at a later time into more depth. But we just wanted to say, hey, we're glad to be back. What's up, everybody? It is Ben with Light Your Lamp, where it is our goal to ignite something within you so that you can go out and live in your purpose. We've been gone. We've been gone for roughly almost 2 months, maybe 3 pushing now. And we moved. We moved towns, we uprooted ourselves, and we are finally settled in a little bit. As I look around the room, I see a pile of boxes everywhere. I look out in the living room and I see more boxes. So there's still a lot to get done. And if you're anything like me, I'm sure that can be overwhelming, just seeing it. Luckily, I've got these lights in my face kind of blinding me right now, so I don't see as much of it. How do we get to this move is kind of what I want to talk about today. Usually we dive into a Bible study or we really sit here and we talk about what's going on in your life. But I haven't really shared with you guys what goes on in my life. And I want to bust that door down today. I could talk about things like, the fact that I wear a hearing aid, I wear glasses, I've been through contacts, I don't like them. But what I really want to talk to you about is struggling with trusting God. To be quite honest, when we moved, I was at kids camp and I had been there for 2 weeks. The first week, Lauren had called me and said, I think it's time that we move. And God said, we need to move now. And I'm not home. The kids are home with her and I'm at kids camp and I can't help but wonder, is she crazy? Is my wife literally calling me while I'm not around to say, we're moving? And what happened is that we decided to hear that voice through Lauren and move. So we ended up listing our house with somebody who we know really closely. And we just started packing things up without a plan, anywhere to go. We had nowhere to go. I think that was my biggest struggle was there was nowhere to go for us. Now, my grandmother, love you, Graham, she opened up her house to us and we were able to live there in this meantime. We literally just got into our new house last Friday. We are still working. We're not unpacked yet, like I said, and we're very much fresh to how we're going to do things in this house. But, through this process of moving, I really had to take some time and step back and view myself and how I was postured during this whole interaction. When Lauren first called and said, it's time to move, my gut reaction was, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you heard God. Maybe you didn't hear God. Let's pray on it some more and let's see what happens. And the more we did that, the more it said to move. More he said to move. More he said to move. More he said to move. And eventually I was just like, all right, whatever. Let's move. And we moved. And after we moved, we found a house right away. When you walk into a room, and I don't know how many of you have bought a house or know that you're in the right place, but God lets you know in very unique ways. And for us, at our old house, we had 2 lavender bushes. And those 2 lavender bushes ended up dying last year from a disease called witch's broom, which is incurable. Come to find out, I had sprayed these things with copper. I had invested some money into saving these trees or bushes, whatever you want to call them. I'm not a botanist, so don't come after me. And when we found this house, there were 2 lilac bushes growing in the back from buds. They're nothing yet, but they will grow into something. And my wife looked at me and said, see, it's our fresh start. And when you hear it's a fresh start, you think, a fresh start from what? We're sitting here where we used to live. We're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing. We're very involved in our church. We're very involved in our community. We've got great neighbors. So why do we need a fresh start? And I'll be real with you. I was still struggling with this. I didn't think we needed a fresh start. And I wanted to build. I didn't want to just buy. So I wanted to build something that suited everything we need. And this house was it. This house has everything that we needed and a little bit more. The yard is bigger. And yet I still struggled with trusting God in this. And here's what happened. So we ended up selling our house. We had a bid come in the very first day. We took it, accepted it right away. So happy that things were going to progress and move forward. We put an offer on the house that we're in now, and our contract for our house fell through. We had somebody do the inspection and came back with the inspection, said this was wrong, this was wrong. The buyer then came back and said, I can't believe that they didn't know these things are wrong, and backed out, which ended up costing us some money to say that these things aren't wrong. What you actually were seeing was just normal wear and tear on the house, nothing structural, nothing. Everything that was said to us that was wrong was proven by professionals, more than one, to not be wrong. And that was a hard pill to swallow. You know, we started to doubt. We really started to doubt what God was doing in our lives, and the fact that we had uprooted ourselves, moved, put our house on the market. We're not yet in this house. We're living with my grandmother in a much smaller space. And God didn't let this happen. Didn't let this sale of our house go through. So we were then in jeopardy of losing this house. And I'll be honest, I started to really, really doubt God. And I know I'm the guy who sits here and we read a Bible study together and it's always trust God, always trust God. But the reality is, man, being a Christian is one of the toughest things in my life that I choose to do daily. Because that trust isn't always what I want, and it's not on my timing. You know, and I'm sitting here and I'm praying in the car saying, God, I need this to come through. I need this to happen. I need this to happen. I need this to happen so we can be where we need to be, where you told us to be. And then it doesn't happen. You know, you think you know what God's will is for you, and then it's not, is how we felt. So Lauren and I really went through this struggle, and I ended up going down to the end of the street. There's a park there and playing basketball, and I'm shooting basketball. And you know, maybe it's just the competitive nature in me, or something in me said, you know, hey, I make this shot, we're going to get this house. I do this, I'm going to get this house. So what did I start to do there? I started to lose my distance with God. I started to become more of the secular world, and I started to pull back and do things that weren't aligned with my faith walk. You know, what I tell people to do is, you know, always draw near God. And I was being consumed by other things, and my head started spinning, and I was going in places that I hadn't gone in a really long time. And, you know, I'm putting my faith into a ball going into a hoop, and it's not working. You know, I make a shot, it goes in, we get the house. I know the reality of that. That's not how the world works. So what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm putting my faith into a orange ball going through rope. And it doesn't work. So I do that for a minute. I just say, you know what, God, let's have it out. Let me let my frustrations out with you right now. And I did. I let them all out. I let everything in me out. I let it just flow. God, I am upset that we are not where we are supposed to be, where I thought you moved us to be. We don't have the availability to go back to this other place yet. Our house is not in contract. We are not going to get the house that we thought was from you. What am I supposed to do here? My family, school hadn't started yet. My family needs stability. And I can't provide that because you're not coming through on your end. That's where I was at. So we go ahead and we go to our son's open house for his school. We enrolled him in a Christian preschool, of course. And, you know, when on the drive there, I look at Lauren and I say, just hold my hand. I think we need to pray. I think we need to come together right now and pray. And I had calmed down from my argument with God. And what happened in that argument is something that I will always remember. And it's what brought me back into my walk. It's what brought me near God, is that I realized my timing is not God's timing. My needs aren't God's needs. My will's not God's will. And yet I'm trying to force something on this omnipotent God who created the world, who created Adam and Eve, who created you and I. And I'm sitting here demanding through prayer how he needs to show up in my life to come through and provide the things that I want, that I think that I need. And that he's not done it in a timely fashion, I get ticked off. And God reminded me of something, and it was my posture. My posture. You know, when you go and you pick up a box, you know, in the box, a lot of them have the two-man lift, and their backs are slightly hunched over. When you go to pick up that box by yourself and you don't bend the right way, you're going to throw out your back. And for those of you with a bad back, you'll know this like I do. Your back is going to hurt for a solid week, if not more, because your posture was wrong. And what happened with my faith walk is my posture was wrong. So I was hurting. I was giving the enemy a door into my life and saying, come on in, hurry me up. You know, and I've talked about it before on a reel that when we hurry, we've made the devil happy. We are doing exactly what the devil wants us to do, because when we hurry, we become more secular. We become more into the world than we are into him. Not the devil, God. When we become in a hurry, we become more of the world and not into him. That's when all the other stuff comes in. That's when all the other wishes. We are looking to fill ourselves spiritually with something other than him. We are looking to find some self-satisfaction to appease us for a moment, knowing it's not going to be a long-term thing. But we'll take that little dose. We'll take that little drip of dopamine and we'll run with it. So where are we at today? We are in the house. We're back. We're ready to do this podcast. And I really want to say one thing. I know a lot of you drive when you listen to this stuff, so I want to make sure that we keep it short. And I know that our past reels have talked about posture. But I want you to challenge yourself in your prayer posture. I want you to see, are you throwing out your back in prayer? Are you giving the enemy a foothold into your life? Or are you postured in a manner to let God use you as the vessel that you're intended to be used as? We're going to be back next week. We're going to come at it from a couple different angles. I promise you one thing that we are not going to do. We are not going to stray from God. We are not going to let the enemy take such a foothold that we back down from sharing the gospel with other people. And we are going to be here to pray for each and every one of you who need prayer. You remember, you can do that on our website, lightyourlampministry.com. You can do it on our Instagram at lightyourlamp, TikTok, lightyourlamp. What else is there? Facebook at lightyourlamp. If you see Light Your Lamp, let's light it. And let's light it together. And let's light the world to change it. What's up? What's up, dude?
My turn, Daddy.
Come here. You want to be on the show?
Okay.
You want to be on the show?
Yeah.
Come on, tell him. Say hey.
Hi.
Tell him where you're at.
I'm at the new car.
Yeah, he's at the new house with his new cars, and he's very excited. Listen, we're excited. We'll see you guys soon.